My name is Mark Davidson, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to Ewalu today. This is the first time we are live streaming our enrichment events, and so there are several people out in Zoom world, and all people and people that we've heard an interest from have been as far away as California and South Carolina and the Northwoods, Washington, D.C. So it's a little long drive to get here if you're from those places. So I'm glad you can zoom in. It is my great pleasure today to introduce our speaker, who is DC Randle. He is a retired educator and former expedition director. The topic he's going to be talking about today is tropical ecology and the Peruvian rainforest. After earning his degree in science education at Wartburg College, DC began his career teaching behaviorally challenged students at St. Francis High School in Minnesota. He learned about the Jason Project and was chosen to be one of 6 educators to take part in the Amazon Exploration Project in 1994. In 1996, he became an assistant canopy researcher, conducting studies in herbivory and developing educational programs for high school groups coming into the tropics. For many years, he brought groups of students to experience a new environment of tropical ecology, indigenous culture, sustainable development, and rainforest research in South America. In 2000, DC began working as an expedition coordinator for trips to Peru. He has been honored with several educational awards for his dedication to education and young people. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you DC Randle.
Wow. Thanks everyone for coming. And I'm a little excited. So if I get too nervous, I'll have somebody run up and give me a chill pill or something and then get going again. But just a few words before I get started into the program. Yes, I'm going to talk about tropical ecology and what I've experienced in the rainforest. But I also want to talk about the journey. And so the first half of this will be about the journey I made to even have the opportunity to work with scientists and people to do what I do. The other thing I would like to say is family. Family is important. Okay, and I know there's a lot of different models of a family, and I hope people always remember that. Um, yes, you have the nuclear family, and then you have the extended family. Um, you're gonna hear me say today, my brothers or my mom or my dad. And I was fortunate. I was fortunate as a young person to have my biological family who brought me into this world, but wasn't able to, raise me. They did the best they could. But then there were other people that stepped up and took me in and made me a part of their family. I mean, protected me, gave me principles and morals, made sure that I went to school. And so I don't delineate between foster family or adopted family or biological family. They're just my family because that's part of this journey too. And that's the first part of this journey that got me to where I go. How do I look at my extended family? You all lose my extended family. All these guys here that came today and ones that wanted to be here but couldn't get here, um, they helped me to become who I am. Helped me to see that the world is a magnificent place for all young people to go out and find their little niche or place in the world. So I just wanted to say that before I got started. And as you can see, we got a, bunch of pictures to let you know this is the other part of the journey now. This part of the journey starts with Ewalu, as you can see, all the different things we did at Ewalu. And it started with Wartburg and the things that I did at Wartburg. But if you want to hear just who I am, of course, Wartburg College. I went to Spingarn High School in Washington, D.C. I got my BA from Wartburg. I got my master's from St. Mary's in Minnesota. And as I was teaching, I got an opportunity to work with special ed kids, unfortunate kids. Probably, maybe I felt like I was unfortunate at the time. And so the best way to give back is go and help them to find their little place in the world. So I got to teach, and so it was, I needed more than just the standard, let's be in the classroom and open that book and read about all these places. So instead of reading about those places, I try to create a world where they could go and experience that kind of thing. So I would do environmental programs such as stream monitoring with all these, some of my unfortunate, I ended up moving to the high school and I continued this program. I go back one. I started with just real special ed kids, and I made it. I developed a turtle program, which got all these things started for me. I would trap and tag and monitor endangered turtles, and that was a great joy for me. And the kids learned to do that. And then it spread, and it spread because um, boys clubs and girls clubs decided, well, you're doing something neat with kids and they not just keeping them in the classroom. And so this was the boys club that we took from Florida into the rainforest. Well, how'd you do that? Back in 93, 94, at the University of Minnesota, there was the Jason Project. And I had been looking for more programs to work with kids. I did the turtle thing, they had heard about me, and I got to do that. And so I went down there and they had this Jason project. And that's where you bring the kids, and Robert Ballard, the guy that found the Titanic on the bottom of the ocean, had this Jason project where he would take millions of kids from around the world by satellite, and then some kids and teachers on expeditions to go on, whether he was exploring underwater or whether he was exploring the rainforest or Mayan ruins. He did those kind of things. So I got to work with a bunch of good people. Dr. Meg Lohman, that's right there. She's my research partner for the last 30 years. We serve on a board together, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that board at the end of this program. And so I was selected one of 6 teachers around the world to participate in one of Ballard's expeditions. And I was on top of the world when I got to do that. The other scientists, if you notice the guy holding the snake, that's Jeff Corwin. He, after that expedition, had his own TV show called Going Wild with Jeff Corwin. And so a lot of us had some spin-offs from those expeditions that we got to go on. Next thing, I was in the Ecology ESA organization on their board, and thanks to Meg, and I had to write articles. So I've been published several times in different things. And Meg then became the founder of the Tree Foundation, and I serve on that board to this day. And we have a big project going that, like I said, I'll talk more about at the end. So after I ended my teaching, I couldn't get other teachers to follow in my footsteps. They always thought that taking kids out of the classroom was a little scary to them. Some of them never wanted it, they just felt more comfortable using the book. But kids are still trying to experience those things. So after I retired, I couldn't do high school anymore. And I turned my tent adventures to the college. And as you can see, Dr. Michael Bechtel thought it was a good program, and we started to partnership and do that. I have his sister who went on the first expedition in our audience with us, and that's Dr. Dindler now. She went down there, got with one of the tribes. A lot of people didn't know about this tribe. And it was so she did all the work and got her PhD. So I'm proud to call her doctor. so, so there's opportunities for everybody. So, and that was a joint venture, as you can see at the top. It says Wartburg and Upper Iowa. That was the first college trip. A lot of kids that went, whether they were in high school or whether they college kids, uh, had all their little hopes and dreams of going to see what a rainforest is like, what it was, and what they can learn from it. And of course, number one thing, what do they want to do? Swim in the Amazon River. And so they had a ball. The last time I was down there, I didn't want to swim, but the students wanted me to swim, and I lost my cell phone to the dolphins in the river. It teases me to this day that the dolphins are trying to contact me. I get a lot of hangups. So, to get into Peru, I fly to Peru. We get to Lima, and that's the Amazon River. I try to put a lot of pictures together for you. Lima is like our cities, they hustle, they bustle. They got about 9 million people in that town, and it's horns tooting all the time. They look like us, just with Spanish names. They got Kentucky Fried Chicken. You need to go to, what is it? Feel like a chicken or whatever that thing is. You can do that too. So it wasn't much different than being in America, except it was Spanish that was doing it. So then we get on another plane and we fly over the end of these mountains and up to the equator, where we go into Iquitos. And Iquitos is a lot different. It's like their culture. Kids we took them on tours of the market. It's not like you go on to Cub or you go on to Hy-Vee. They bring their fresh food, whether it's plant, animal, or whatever, herbs, and they slap them on the table. They just slap them on the table, and you get to choose from them. One of the things that I found along the river in the 30 years I've been down here is that they do little villages way out in the forest. And those villages, even though they look like that past picture, they want better roads. Now, I always like to say to people that when you complain about paying taxes for your roads, that maybe you should come to Peru with me, because that cement road right there, pay no taxes. And it's got some of the biggest potholes because they don't have enough money to fix them, but they still have to use them because they put it in the middle of the jungle. And this is on a village called Indiana, and it's about 3 miles around the whole village. And they have that's their transportation other than walking. These are called motor cars. They have buggy and have motorcycle. And so it brings us to the point now of what was I down there for in the early days. And this is me back in the 90s, I think, had to be. And we have about 4 camps there. And we bring groups in and we move them from camp to camp as we go and survey the rainforest and look at the ecology of the rainforest. So I basically teach about the stratifications when I bring new people in, and how that all worked together. And I also help, which was Meg's huge project. It's called herbivory. And herbivory is the feeding interactions of herbivores on the forest. And why do we study that? We study that because, we have the same thing up here in our forest, insects feed on the vegetation here. But we wanted to know how much forest was lost due to all this feeding interaction. And there were different kinds of feeding interaction. And though I've only done this in two different forests, because I have a hard time raising my money to go to Africa with Meg to do the African forest or Malaysia at this point in time. I hope to make it to some of those before, I go to the here and beyond. But if not, I know about them. And so when you survey all that munching and eating and look if the forest is hurt, if it makes no difference, or it it helps the forest, we try to measure that when we look at all forests. And what we found so far in the last 30 years that, and Meg might have found a little different because at the time, I haven't updated my data, I guess, on that, but that's my problem, not hers. She probably would tell me different. But the last I was studying that about 30% of the forest is munched on and fed on, but it really helps the forest. It's just like anything else, predator prey kinds of mutualistic uh, type relationships that go on out there. That helps the forest to stay healthy. I advise, no, I don't advise. I invite people, if you ever have the opportunity to travel to Peru, Brazil is losing most of theirs, and that's the largest stretch of the Amazon forest. But they have to do some different things with their government to ensure that they keep what they have left. Um, I invite you to go. I invite you to go not only to see how those indigenous people live and utilize that forest, but to go to check on the things that you hear on TV about the forest. And are those things really true? Is the forest really going up in smoke, hand over fist, and it's going to be gone next week? If those are the kind of people. No, it's not going to be gone next week. Will it be gone? Science says on the trajectory of what we're doing and where we're going, yeah, it will be gone if we don't do something about it. Global, you know, climate change and all those things add into whether we keep our forests healthy. So in the olden days, we did research by lantern because we had no electricity out in the forest. These are some of the places we stayed. This is a temporary, no, it's not. These are our quarters and where we stay. And it's really kind of fun. It's really comfortable. It's nice. It rains all the time. We have a big lodge there that we can have meetings, we can eat, we can do all kinds of things. But this one is the third camp we go to. And last year, no, 19 is the last time I was down here. Got wiped out. Got wiped out during COVID. And so Pam is busy trying to restore that camp. So we couldn't stay at that camp. We had to stay at the most rustic camp there was, which didn't mind us. We didn't wear good clothes anyway. And so we lived at Axe, that first camp. This is our sleeping quarters, you know. Windows don't exist in the forest. So you have a cutout so you can get some light in there. But if you think you're gonna keep the bugs out, that's not gonna happen. If you think you can keep the bats out, that's not gonna happen. As a matter of fact, my room that they always put me in, I share mine with a bunch of bats that I use it at night, they eat, they use it at the day while I'm out doing my work. And the reason I know that, because sometimes I have to go back to my room and pick up something, and then you see like 6 bats fly out from under your bed and go out the window, and then they come right back, so it's really kind of funny. If you need to rest during the day, this is some of the things we do. We have hammocks that we lay in during the high point of the day. Nobody wants to be up there in that canopy at the at the high point of the day, it's just too hot. And so even the animals up there kind of like take a siesta during that time. Um, I always like to talk to people about the strange and wonderful curiosities. This is an ant plant with all those little hairs or things on it. It's to try to survive mostly. Nice little, this is a female, of course. This is female spade-tail dragon. She's a part of the harem. I must got rid of the other one. Birds. Birds. We go down, we look at all of the ecology down there and how it interacts with the forest. Uh, Lots of birds. We do bird studies. And there's Meg and I at the top of the day doing our sampling. We sample insects, we sample the foliage, and we look at different kinds of feeding patterns that's going on. Then we take them back to our little lab and we trace them and then we calculate, which I hate. Because she always give it to me. She's like she's done for the day. And so I have to sit there and I have to calculate so I can move. But it's fun. I learn a lot of skills from doing the calculation. We bring people in, they help us with it so we can measure that loss of the force. Hello. Oh, there you go. And so this is one of the ways that we sample. That's called an aspirator. We call it bug sucker for short. And we suck bugs off the tree. And you need to have your little piece in there. Just you'll suck it up and it's right down your throat. But we do that. We run all kinds of different experiments with the foliage. On my left here, you're right. Uh, we have what is called a penetrometer. We measure leaf toughness with that because we noticed that certain herbivores like to eat young, fresh leaves, and they'll eat medium leaf. But once they get really tough, we want to know how tough they are because they seem to show the less munching patterns on them. So that's what we do. On the right here, two of my students are working with Madagascar, which is another good friend of mine that goes down and study. He mostly monitors the temperatures and things in the canopy uh, to add to our data. But they were testing, it was a group of ants up there on the trees, and they called gliding ants. And so they were little big ants, and we, fun part for me was I got to flick them off the tree. You gotta do something. So I flick them off the tree and they spiral down, but they get down to the ground and they crawl right back up the tree. So we ran an experiment where we painted their abdomens with 4 different types of non-toxic whiteout. We put it on their butt basically with the 4 colors, and then we put them in a bag and we took them all the way down to the ground and we carried them about 40 meters away to see if they could find their way back home. Guess what? They did. So it was a fun experiment for all the kids. And there's Steve working with one of my students, Chelsea, there. Rhinoceros beetles, all kinds of, yeah, we think we got large insects. Well, they really get large down here. Spiny katydids. I love some of the, this looks like a butterfly, but it's actually a moth. And so we learn a little bit about that. We have entomologists that come along with us on some of our expeditions and we learn more about them. Mostly we learn from the natives and we watch what they do. This one is really kind of cool. I had to take a picture of it because, okay, I'm gonna be naughty here, but so we found out that they eat feces and urine. What better way to tell that in the middle of the night? Instead of going to the bathroom, I pee off the deck and then watch the butterflies. And sure enough, all through the day, there was a lot of them out there. So I know that to be true now. Uh, You might have heard about this. This is a leaf mimic. It's actually an insect there. We also have different things. My favorite, dendrobites, which are the poison dart frogs. Really great to see. And I don't know how we do this. Let me see if I do this. Nope, go back. Do that. Nope. That is. Oh, let's go. Oh, going the wrong way. I don't know where I am now. Well, where is that? Stuff that is a, I'm trying to make it run. Yeah.
I'm gonna exit out. Hello, watching.
Oh, that's video.
There it is. There.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Oh,
Leaf cutters. I'm reading a book right now. I'm in a science book club, and so we get all kinds of books. I always try to further my knowledge. And they were talking about this is called The Wildlife of Our Bodies by a good professor friend at North Carolina, Rob Dunn. And it's really kind of cool. He talks about how we have sterilized ourselves basically by removing some of the things that really need to be on our body that live in mutualism with us. And so he was talking about um, our gut bacteria, that we remove our gut bacteria. And he was looking at, or many people were looking at Crohn's disease and how Crohn's disease affect people. And one, I think it was Raymer, came up with the idea that because we removed those gut bacteria, that's what the problem was. And then it goes on this whole experiment where they started to replace those gut bacteria. Okay, you guys had enough. And this one is, how'd you get that little thing up there? Oh, well, that's all right. The anteater moves too, but um, these are giant anteaters that live down there. This one was down by the shaman hut. But yeah, so that's, if you get a chance to get that book, that's a good book to read too. The snails, the gastropods down there, huge. Um, I use guides that live in this forest all their lives. And so their daily work is to go out and find and help you with things because they know their environment better than anybody in the world. And Percy was a very good friend of mine. He was a little kid when I first started, and now he's a big guy. I brought my high school students down here, and he was holding up this binocular like this, and he said, "When I was a little boy, I went with my dad, and we collected these giant snail, what do you call it? These gastropods. Man. Anyway, but they ate them. And so he was getting 150 of them. So they go in this little dugout canoe. And so one time they got to this island and collected them. And he said, I heard. And he kind of looked, and then he said, and then came again. Then he said, he heard one over here, he heard one over there. And his dad said, that's a jaguar. And he said, and it must be a female here, and she's in heat. And so it was so funny because he said, then my dad said to me, go to the boat and get my shotgun because they're getting close. So Percy runs back and get the shotgun to his dad. He said, okay, I'll take I'll take the shotgun. He said, now give me the bullets. He said, well, Dad, you didn't tell me to get the bullets. And the girls just broke up laughing. Brought him shotgun though. And again, um, all the wonders of down there, sloths. And there's the male and the female um, spade-tailed lizards. He has a harem about 100 females that live in this tree. And I always go back to that tree and try to find that group that move trees. But of course, after 10, 15 years, I think I moved to and got the best out of it. Clearwing butterflies. We studied the smoky jungle frog. when I take my groups in from college, and just walked in the door, is Dr. Bethel. You can raise your hand. He's my cohort in crime. Then we go down there along with Dr. Bimler, that we all go down there and bring kids. And he has his students uh, develop surveys that we're going to survey different aspects of the forest and get that research going, because you're not down there long enough to call it a research project. And then you would, if you did, then you have to get accepted. Then you have to be down there a lot to make your research valid enough to use. So that frog is really kind of cool, and he hangs in a tree. Frogs, insects, um, slugs that's on the ground, which is a snail without a shell. And so, and then we were in the canopy, and we'll talk about the canopy, and we looked out and rare sites like the king vulture that lives there, spider monkeys or squirrel monkeys. We see all kinds of different species of monkey. These squirrel monkeys hang out at our camp a lot. I like to play with red-tailed boas and watch the kids hold on to anacondas. They get that 43,000 species of different plants and organisms, uh, uh, plant life that we can find in that rainforest. You guys probably seen them. Let me see if I can find. Oh, this one is here. Get right there. You see those mimosa plants that we call them sensitive ferns in the store. They grow wild, and they actually are huge trees that grow. And so you get them when they're young, and I just like making them close. That's kind of fun. I kept begging them when they say it's time to go, DC. um, Victorian lily pads. Oh, I get that. That's there. I got some other pictures of this. I just put these as a conglomeration so that you can see the philodendron. Those leaves, that's a hemiepiphyte type plant in the ecology. You find those mostly on the ground, but you can find them 100 feet up in the canopy. And the ecology of the stratification of the forest is the higher you go, you don't want to have big leaves up there because it takes too much energy to generate to keep them alive. So if you get in the canopy, the higher you are, the leaves are smaller. They're a lot smaller than as close to the ground. You get those things. Except this hemiepiphyte lives up there. And so that's area where I always try to tell kids, you can come back and try to figure out why that's happening out there. This is Nicole's favorite thing when we go out and find bioluminescent fungi. We go out at night and we go and we turn off all our lights, and it looks like the sky is flipped upside down because these fungi get on these leaves and they fall on the ground. And it's like a nighttime sky upside down. My favorite thing is mycology, and I love mushrooms for some reason. I think it probably is going to hold a lot of secrets to cures that we may need. So I'm always looking at different fungi that's down there. And here's my place of work normally. It's in the canopy. We have a canopy walkway that goes about quarter of a mile to the tree, and we survey and sample all kinds of deals there. We have platforms out there, and so as you can see, this platform is about 39. Well, that's one of them where he's at on the bridge. So it's platforms and bridges, and you get up there and you can see kids just love that. I'm way above them taking that picture. But the highest point is about, well, I think 117 to 126 feet that we are and can look out and see out. This is an exit tower from there. So you wind your way up and you go up, and then you come down the backside. It's about 14 bridges and 12 platforms, and you wind your way back down to the ground. DC, who built those bridges? Beg your pardon? Who built those bridges? The canopies. Who built them? It's really kind of funny story. When they went to build this canopy, they had to talk to the indigenous people. And Don Antonio was the medicine man when I first got down there. So this bridge been there since 93 or a little before that. My first time was down there and was in 96 because I was in the Belizean rainforest before that. But Don Antonio and Don Victor, they both were like in their 80s. And get that thing up that high and secure it. Don Victor and Don Antonio, well, the workers would carry all that, it's really heavy cable and all that mesh. And they walking in the forest by hand. They didn't have, can't drive. And they brought all that stuff. And then they would climb the tree barefoot. And they would have lighter strings. And they would take one arrow and shoot their targetry from place to place. And then the guides then would take the other end and tie it to a strong rope. And then they would hoist it up till they got to that point. And then so the natives built that bridge system. And it was really neat to hear the two. Don Victor was the architect of that one. And how it needed to go in the forest. And so then him and Don Antonio had the crew and they put it up there. So I really love that. And this is when I met Don Antonio. Don Antonio was the medicine man, and he talks about he put in an ethnobotany garden and used a lot of the plants there. Cat's claw, you might hear that talked about on the internet, that they use cat's claw. Now they're thinking as a cancer fighting agent to try to see if that can help cure cancer and those kind of things. But that's the original plant of it. They have those little hooks are really tough, and so they make it eat. This is really kind of fun. You see that swimming pool in the middle? Peter Jensen, who started this whole camp thing, it's called Explorama Tours. You can go there on your own and stay there, or you can do crazy things and come along with me and have a really good time and come along with my two professors, and we'll just have a great time together. Our last day, well, what Peter did was he wanted to get more dollars in and from the Europeans, because Europeans won't go anywhere without their comforts. And so I remember when Peter told us he was building saber tops. And I kept seeing these barges up and down the river and hauling cement. So I thought it was going to be like our old rustic camps. And he said he couldn't do that. So you can go to Sabre, you can have air conditioning, you can have the jungle bars, you can have all this swimming pool. I mean, it's a really plush, really well laid out. So after we come out from all the camps way upriver, and just before we go home, we take all our students to Sabre, and they're like, "Really? We couldn't be here all the time, really?" And so, and it's really great for one night, and we love it, and it's kind of a thing. So that's why and so it's called Sabre because of that large tree right there. It's the Sabre tree, which many of them, the average height of those are 125 to 150 feet tall, huge trees. And so back down with the medicine man ceremony, healing, we always get a blessing from several of the shamans that work and hang out with us. We do community projects. We help with new villages going up along the river. We spend a day there working with the community that's getting that started and enjoying ourselves with the kids, whatever they need. For some reason, they always put me on latrine duty, and I gotta dig those holes. Exploration is what it's all about. And to find and see all those different things. Um, that's Mike's first year down there. When he was deciding whether I should take them kids down there. And he thought it was just a great. Of course, Mike was putting his hand on a spike walking palm tree and it hurts. So you don't want to get caught with that. So lives have changed when you go and see how other people live on the other side of the world or wherever. Because America, I'm not saying it's not great, it is great. But it's great to see that people in their homeland think their place is great too. So mentoring is kind of thing like we like to do is Meg was my mentor. Ooh, sorry about that. Keep my hand down. Meg was my mentor and helped me get started in tropical ecology. We started in Belize and now we in Peru, and Peru has much more to offer than the small one that we did in Belize, but it was nonetheless just as effective. But we moved to a bigger place to learn. Kids, they learn about different things. Adults too. They get to help with different things. Diversity is the key. To see all the many different species and how they interact with each other and know that they need each other is really a great thing. There's 2 tribes down there. When I first got down there in this area, there's many tribes. But for years, I went up and down the river and lived with the Ewalu natives down there. And that's what we basically live with. And all this time on the backside of this, on the Sukasori River, was the Mayuna tribe, which wasn't getting along very well with the Yaguas, and the Yaguas wasn't getting along with them. But along about, I don't know, 10 years ago, they decided to make a pact between the 2 of them because they're using the same portion. Now, Peter bought his camp in that land. I don't roughly know how many acres Saber sit on, and then Axe sit on, and then what's our favorite camp there, guys? The one that's all destroyed. It's still there, but we couldn't stay there last time. Why am I drawing a blank? I lived there a lot. I'll think of it in a minute. Yeah, Napo. It's on the Napo River. Thank you. I was drawing a blank there. The Napo camp. I don't know how many acres, Peter, but it's a lot of them. But these Mayuna, they own 1 million acres. And there's only four tribes, and they all along that stretch of land all the way to Colombia. And there's only 400 of them total to take care of that 1 million acres. And they were letting the loggers in, and they were just wrecking it, and they kicked the loggers out, and everybody started cheering. And so the loggers, but now they got to contend with the government. The government, because Quitos is a peninsula, so the only way in is by boat or by plane, and they want to connect it to the mainland. And that's really hard to see because the moment you finish that bridge that the government is putting out there, and the Mayunas are, I don't want to say fighting with them, but are in confrontation because they don't want their land opened up. And I guess the government can supersede that and say we're gonna come in anyway. But then that brings in all of the traffic flow and all of it. So you can get the good with the bad if you're gonna do that. And so the Mayuna, which means big ears, as you can see that head there. I tried to get that one. I forgot who got that one, but I wanted to bring that back and have it for display. But It was bought by the time I got. And so, but this shows their land and those things. And this is where Dr. Dindler got her PhD with those guys. So, this is my good buddy of 20 plus years. His name was Ricardo. And he led 99% of my trips. And COVID came in, it took him. And so that was really hard on me. And so I miss him. But there's always fun with the sloths. There's always fun with Guillermo, the medicine man. He's my favorite person because he thinks I was born there. So he'll go out and find something in the middle of the night for the kids to see and just give it to me and say, yes, here, take this. It could be that anaconda in there. Like and I'm like, oh yeah, better take this out for the kids. I'm scared. Because I never know what journal has in there. And just when I'm getting ready to stick my head in there, I'm saying, oh, I'll take it out. And it is just something like a 5-foot anaconda. Like, yeah, I need to talk to you about that. So we have great time. That helps. It's a great deal. And look at that look on my face. Yeah, you wanted me to do that? Insects of all types. Look at that spider. It's just remarkable. Brilliant colors let you know that you maybe not want to mess with me. You eat me, you're gonna die. So that's one of the little tricks and trades we learn. Again, squirrel monkeys. This is one of my high school groups with Meg and I, where we were educating them and taking them through. Oh, that's not it. Did y'all see that tree? I've been debating whether to pull out. It's a palm tree and it grows just like that. And they go off when it's dried out and they cut them off and they give them to you for wedding sticks. I, if you like to see one, stick around. I did bring one. I didn't put it on the display table. But they're really kind of cool. They gave me one for my wedding. And it means virility and long life and everything. So this is a little bit of the research that we do. I told you I calculate the number of leaves lost due to herbivory, different portions. When we get to explore different ones, that's Dr. Lundy. Lundy speaks. She was talking to us about the GI, and they got to learn again. Those slugs. One of the favorite things to do is to sit with the Yagua and learn their lifestyle. She's sitting there showing us how they make the bowls and how they do different things there, just by using the forest. I have much more slides, but I'm trying to get through all these because there are a lot of slides in this thing. Oh, this might be the end. Well, there it is. There you go. I want to save time for questions. How much time do I can look at? Well, I got a few minutes. I want to, where's stuff at? Do we put up that other little slide piece? Did we put it on the desktop?
I think it's this.
It says Mission Green.
It says what on
It says Mission Green. So I know it's on the stick, but
it? Look at this. I'll do this here. Mission Green?
yeah.
You got it.
All right,
it a
we'll just pop that up there real quick.
And you want me just to
Yeah,
start
just,
on that?
yeah, I'll just go through those real quick. There we go. Thank you. So, so I told you I work with Meg, and I've worked with Meg for 30 plus years. We kind of like cohorts in tropical canopy. She started this organization called Tree Foundation. And I was one of the original members and still is. And so it's grown really big. So what is Mission Green? Sylvia Earle is um, a scientist who works to, and her project is called Mission Blue, where because the oceans are in trouble. Well, because we are canopy people, we talked with Earl and thought we should do something for the canopies. And so I'm going to put my plug in because I'm on this. What is our goal? There are 10 um, endangered tropical forests around the world. And they're not all, they kind of tropical. So we save we want to build, and this is what this Mint Green is all about. This is just a little bit about Meg and I, well, mostly Meg, all her research and things. But here's Mint Green, and she's been doing the church forest over in Ethiopia. They own all the trees, all the churches own all the trees, but they, as you can see, they cleared them out except for around the church. And so they're trying to say what little bit of that's there. And um, all of the priests are really thankful for her coming in and helping them set up this program. But Mission Green, we want to try and save the 10 most endangered forests around the world. How do we want to do that? We want to do that by raising each forest costs $1 million to do the project. Right now, one of the 10 forests is where we go right now in Peru. We use that as our base one, but we don't need $1 million for that one. That one's already up and going. We got indigenous people already taking care of it. We want to give it to the homeland to make sure that they can earn money and keep the loggers and everybody out from destroying the ecology by just having these walkway system through tourism. People come from all around the world who want to go up into the canopy and see how it goes. What are the things that they have to offer if we do that money? Well, Meg's big thing is, since I've known her, is about, yes, we need to get more young females and women into science, no matter what level. So she's always promoting that. The money tree, as we call it, well, what does it do for you? The same thing for us right here. So we got, I think it's the Malaysia one. We just about got that one finished. So we'll be down to 9 as if we get our last $200,000. And that one will be off the list, and then we move on to the next tree. We try to keep tree out of the red by never doing anything until we get the money first. And so, and we think we got the money, but it's National Geographic that are planning to supply us with 600,000, which then it gives us a little bit over to start another, but they don't know when they want to give it to us. And so, and this got to be finished up before, we don't know when they give it to us. So we trying to raise the last 200 to get it done. But no child will be left outdoors. 50% of the species, land-based insects, animals, all those things live in those treetops, folks. And they make those forests go. And you can't get rid of one and think that you're gonna have that forest. So we want to help people around the world. This is what's happening. And if we don't save those forests, this is what it's gonna look like. And so it's our global mission that we are doing now. What can you do? Well, you can do a lot. I know you. I know if any one of you had $1 million, any one of you had $1 million, you would give it to us. You know, I get it. You don't have $1 million, but you can do programs to raise and you know, maybe a church could want to, whatever you can give to one of these things. I invite you to go on the Tree Foundation and look at the mission in whole. And however you feel you want to donate or give to that mission, it's up to you. But I thought I'd put a plug in because I'm on the board and the board has to talk about it. Those are the 10 forests. And I'm gonna stop right here because I know you've been sitting, and we're gonna have a break right now. Well, I'm gonna have to go out and celebrate tonight because of the fact that I did my job and got through everything so that you can have question and answer period. My wife gave me a thumbs up because she didn't have to say, shut up. So thankful for that and go home. She might even make me dinner. Okay. I really enjoy this time to come down and share a little bit of my life, my travels, my education, everything with all of you guys. So now we're going to turn this over to question and answer period, because I know a lot of people got a lot of questions, whether it's about the artifacts back there at the table, or whether it's about something I said, or whether it's about Mission Green. You can raise your hand. Then I can see who's asking the question, basically. All right. You're gonna do it, aren't you? You know, I'll talk to you later, Paul. The best way to put this is, no, not many people know me by DC now. It was probably year two, and oh, that's right. I was walking in the forest with a good friend, Basilio, which was a guy, and he was pointing out things, and he was going, and this is and this is, and like, then he looked up and he said, Wakapoo. And I looked at him, I said, what? He said, Wakapoo. I said, no. Not. He said, no, DC, Wakapoo. I said, no, not doing that. And he said, no, DC, Wakapoo, big, strong tree, dark hardwood. This is a walk tree. I said, Wakapoo. Very good. I said, because you know, that means you walk the dog crap, and I'm not doing it. And so from then on, he left so hard, he went back and told him, I can't even get off the plane in Lima without somebody saying, Wakapoo, all the way over here. That's all. And when I'm up amongst the Yagua and everything, I'm an honorary chief. And that's what everyone knows me by. And so when I go into the training building, joy, oh, who is here? And it is that when you born knowing it. So that, and that's what I'm going to do. Any more questions?
You gotta go on my question for me.
My, I so many of those, but I can pick one out. I think one of my, if she's talking about at the end of it, or I'll just answer. I went down one year and I had been working in the woods up here, and I'd gotten a little bit of poison ivy on my leg. And so it was time to go down there. And so by the time I got down there and I'm wearing my shorts and my hiking boots and things, my leg was oozing from the blisters, right? And so I was in Camp Antonio, which was the first medicine man that was down there, came up and he can't speak a word of, so I always had my guys interpret for me because I can't speak a word of. Well, that's not true that I can't speak a word of Spanish. I know Baño, she makes us. So I got the basics there. And adios. And so I can get my beer, I can go to the bathroom, and I can say, see you later. And so Don Antonio told, and it was Ricardo, I think, that he was concerned about my leg. And I said to Ricardo, I said, "Oh, just tell Don Antonio it's poison ivy. I don't think you know anything, because that's American, right?" And I said, and it's just poison ivy. And he told him what I said. And then Don Antonio said, "Don't know nothing about that poison ivy, but do know about infection, and that ain't good." Especially down there, because everything in the heat like that, and it's just not good to have any kind of infection. So then he told him, he said, I needed to come down to his hut and he would take care of it. So after, I think it was lunch, I walked down to the garden there, and Don Antonio had like 10 different plants on the table, and he had boiled all these things. And then he made this juice, and he cleaned my leg and kept patting it, and he was explaining what he was doing, trying to get rid of the infection. And then he told him, he said, this was the part that killed me. I'm American. We walk in shoes. But I couldn't put my shoes on for 24 hours. I'm like, how am I get back up that hill? And so it was. I didn't put my shoes back on for 24 hours. All of a sudden, my skin got really tight. I mean, like somebody stretching it. And I'm like, oh, my leg's kind of tight. And then the next day was over. Everybody, I didn't ooze. I could not believe it. So that's one of the real stories. I mean, they know their plants and they know their different things that they want to do, and they know about infection. And I was thoroughly amazed at that. So thanks, Bill, for that question. That's one of my favorite stories. I saw another hand go up. Somebody, Bill's Bob.
Tell us an Ewalu story.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't involve anybody here.
Well, then I have to be silent. But all the years, I'll tell a fun one about you. Dale and I, we lived here in the winter, and I forgot where we were going. And I had the radio on, and a song came on, and I just really, and it was "Gotta Get Up Early in the Morning." It was done by the cafe. Gotta get up early every morning. But the drum piece in that was so funny because they go back. And so every time I turn around, they'll look at me and go, so we would sing that song all the time. See, that's a nice story to tell. Shut up, Paul. I'm gonna be on that. Shut up, Paul. Thank you, man. All right. Any other questions? Oh, I got another one of them. Okay. So I go down with the college kids, and we're having a great time. But everybody wanted to go out and see the pink dolphins in the river. So we all mount in the boat and we go out, and hey, seeing them breach and surface and everything, it was good. Then one of the students got the idea to ask, could they swim in the Amazon? And the guy said, yes, let's just swim. They flew out. They jumped in that water and they had a ride. Only people who left in the boat was the Cole and I, and the guys, of course. And they said, come on, you can't come in and help us deal with the dolphins. I said, no, I got $3,000 worth of hearing aids in my head. I don't need to do that. They said, come on, Randle, you bring us down here, you gotta do that. I looked over, Nicole was already in the water. Nicole went in there, and so I said, dang it, I'm the only one left on the boat. So I decided I'm gonna strap in. I didn't do it. I thought I strapped in with my vest and everything, and I took my thank God I took my hearing aids out. And I laid those on the seat. But you don't see my phone, right? I didn't see my phone. I always carry my phone right here on my bed. And I forgot I had my phone on here. Then I said, okay, I'm jumping in. Well, I jumped in, and my life vest almost came off. And Nicole got really concerned. She was swimming like a bat out of you know what, trying to come save me. I finally rolled over and I tightened it, and she made sure I was okay. And then I said, okay. And I stopped and I said, you remember you had an iPhone? And I hit my hip, it was gone. It floated down to the bottom of the river with the pink dolphins. So I was worried. I'm like, Colleen's gonna kill me. And so Vic would always say to me, you better tell her. You gotta tell her. And I look at Mike, and I said, I'm not gonna tell her. I said, I don't need my haircut. I need to come up with some story. And so pondered over it, and finally I got on the phone to my wife and I texted her, and it was something to the extent of, hey honey, you were talking about upgrading phones, weren't you? And she's so good. She can catch on right away. She's like, what did you do? I say, well, my phone is at the bottom of the Amazon. And she said, oh, no, you didn't. So I said, if you can, put me on the phone. I won't be able. So she did. She said, she typed that finally and said, you got a new phone. But when I got home, I paid the price a little bit. You're gonna get this kind of case, and if you ever jump in the water, it's gonna float. I said, but that's kind of big. It was bright orange. So, and so, yeah, I lost my phone in the Amazon, and I got so much stuff about it. Oh, well.
Jay, so of all the times you've been down there, either what was, in your opinion, the coolest animal or the most surprising animal that you got to see?
I can tell you the most surprising. I was walking with Rodon on one of the trails, and you got creeks going through there. And I looked at the creek. I saw a puff of mud come up or whatever it was. I looked again, it was a stingray. They got freshwater stingrays in there in the water room. And I about pooped my pants. I always associate them with the ocean, but they got fresh. So that's the most surprising that to this day, every time I go down, I always forget the same point. Sometimes when I'm going out to the camping, but I always pause, look both ways, see if I see another stingray. I have only seen it once in the fresh water.
This is a question for me. One of the things we're trying to do with some teams last year was we did a session acquiring curiosity.
Right.
It's basically teaching the kids how to be curious. And wondering if you have any thoughts on how we would help young adults, kind of summer staffers to be more curious about this place, this amazing place to be here. And your experience.
I did that in my classroom a lot to get kids curious about what they do. Because, the one thing I really not taking offense to, but had a hard time with was, you had to have hands-on. Hands-on. Everybody wanted to do hands-on. And not that hands-on is bad, but it's bad if you don't have any background before that. Because hands-on then just turns into playtime and the activity. And so I didn't want the play time and the activity. And so I would always tell my kids, if you wanna get to have a picnic, if you wanna go outside and explore things. Which I do a lot of, then you have to have some background on your surroundings and what it is. So if you took your staff out here. I guarantee you they mostly live in towns and cities and things a lot of times, so they don't explore, vastness. Like, I would find something really neat on the trail to walk by. Cause that's what I do. If I'm in the classroom, I give them all a bunch of hundreds. They say, well, Randle, what is? And then I would say, they would give me some guesses and they say, I know what it is. It's this kind of seed, right? And I go, could be, so I always left them to figure it out. And so we used to find all kinds of neat little things that we didn't know about on the trail down here. And just leave them past that. Somebody's gonna see it, and they're gonna want you to tell them what it is. Don't tell them, just say, I don't know, what do you think it is? Or why do you think it got here? If you already, the smart part is if you don't know, you just go out there ahead of time, before you walk past it, you get all the information that you want. And then let them try to figure it out. Because that's the best way, and they never forget, because they did the work. You didn't do the work for them. And I think that's what's wrong sometimes in certain classrooms, is that the teachers say, well, here's this problem, and you do it like this and do it like this, okay, solve the rest of it. The kids didn't have anything that they had put their mind to really, but the teacher walked up there and said, I got this problem, we gotta use Enrichment, we gotta use, algebra, because you guys already had that. Should have tagged. Now the kids gotta work at it and do that. So that would be my best advice to teaching staff that have no idea about the outdoors. And it doesn't have to be anything big. I mean, if you walk down there, right here at the corner where we used to have our meetings at the old hickory tree. I love that shag box hickory tree out there. Most kids will walk by there and say, oh, tree. But, if you just pose a question like, what kind of tree you think that is? Well, what is that bark? Why is that bark like that? All the other bark. You can get them to participate in your thing. So that's what I would do. Any other questions? Oh, did you have your hand up?
I was interested in, you were talking about the indigenous people and
Yes.
how the government was.
Yeah, the mine owners, dealing with them tonight, yeah.
Over that, and how much did you see of outside large money capital going down into South America, and you were in Peru primarily? That it's really not doing the world justice.
My biggest statement that I could make about that is, I don't know if I directly see the money that's going down there, but I can see some of the effects. And the economy down there, like my guys work for a mine. And they are on top of the world. The average income down in that area to get your food, to get gas, or do whatever you gotta do, it's $300 a month. They have to live on $300 a month. And I just checked the last time I was down there, and I tried to see if it went up in maybe a couple dollars, but that's why they always tell me every time with my pension, I can go down there and live like royal. Because I wouldn't spend that much money. And when we go into the countries, when we convert American dollars to Soleil and stuff like that, we're getting a lot more for our American dollar now. And so you can see that. The airport down there, when I first started going to the Lima airport, it was rudimentary, rustic, I should say. Really rustic. I'm really kind of upset that They got rid of my favorite thing. So when you get off with your bags and everything, they had the light system. And you just drag your bag and get, as long as you're getting red or no green, you just walk on to, they don't know if you got drugs in your bag or not. For some reason, I walked in, I go, boom, it's ready to over there. So it's random, so it's a random thing. And I always kind of thought that was cool because I always wait to see which kid was gonna get stuck, which person was gonna get stuck. I got stuck mostly. So, but that's gone now. They American airports down here. So this big money has gone in there. I mean, they got the shops in there. And when I first started going, it was no shops in there. And then when we flew over the mountains into Iquitos, now they got shops and things. So I know there's a lot of money floating around in there. But when I used to go into the Iquitos airport, you land, they still don't have jetways like we do. So you land in Iquitos, they roll the stairs out to you, and then you walk your butt, across the tarmac and then into the thing. But they had this, we always call it graveyard. So if a plane crashed or wasn't functioning, it was right there where you could see where you just landed. They had old helicopters and it was really kind of like, So, but now you don't have that. It is, they even got buses to ride you across there. It's not that far really, but they get like big airports like we have here. So I know there's money, but there's a lot of corruption in their money. And right now we canceled 3 trips for the 23 season because of the president and the corruption and people would get stuck. Some people got stuck down there down in the Cusco area where people go up to see Machu Picchu. They couldn't get out because of all the unrest and things that were going on down there. So everybody that was on the plan to go down there, like in May, National Geographic canceled the trip in February, and we were going to take the Free Foundation in July. And those people got word of that. They're like, nope, not signing up. So we had to cancel that one. So our big thing now is we shoot for 2024. Hopefully all that'll be taken care of. So that's the best I can answer that.
From what you're saying, even though there's big money down in there going there, it's not going out to the average people.
No,
In addition,
some might do that. Now, here's the big thing, because when I first started going down there, we, like I said in the thing, we did everything by oil and kerosene lamps. They got rid of all kerosene in Peru because of the drug cartel. So here's the part that does go back to them. So people that live in the forest, when they have any kind of deal, they do have gas generators, but you gotta go way down river on one of those taxi kind of barges to bring the kerosene up. If you got a little generator that can pump it and do that. So what they did, which I thought was really cool, was the government gave them solar panels. So now they get solar light in the forest, and you can go along the river and you see this look like that's kind of how it plays. But at night, it's still kind of basic, but they get light at night, and when they do that, the government gives them. Oh, that's because I keep moving, isn't it? I'll stay here. The government gives them like so much wattage just to get started, and then they can sell their goods and buy more wattage. So say for instance, they give them 20 kiloloads or kilowatts of solar power. You can buy another 20 for whatever it is that you can do that. So you can have lights all the time. So that is going back to the people.
And they can charge cell phones, does that help them a lot, communicating with the outside?
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm kind of like old school kind of guy. I'm from the forest. You don't have cell phones, but I got one. And they do, they have cell phones down there and they charge and, but the last thing I just seen now, so we bring in all our batteries and stuff like that. And now you can't even get, they stop you in the airport and they take your batteries. Not every time, but it looks like they're going away from alkaline type batteries and you have to get rechargeable. Like this year, I had bought all these rechargeable flashlights. And so we got a little bit of electricity out in some of those camps out there. The very first camp that Peter built was, within the rustic style and everything before he built Sabre. And what he did was, um, it's a nice, clean, healthy place to do. They upgraded it now. We didn't have bathrooms in the rooms. And now they got gravity bathrooms in the rooms. And I like when I go with the college kids because they think I'm a big kahuna because they give me the big room and got all. I had 2 showers. I'm like, yeah, Mike said I'm coming over and getting your extra shower. So I like, boy, I got the big room. And so, but yeah, they got that. You can plug in your cell phone right in the wall and charge it at night and stuff. But when you get out to X, well, that's not so easy to do. I don't think we haven't got that far out there. It's still pretty rustic. You do get solar light. And lights are out all the way at what, Mike? 10, 11? Yep, 10, 11. Yep. And boy, when those lights go out, you can put your hand right here and see nothing. So you better be in a place that you either got a flashlight and you don't have to walk anywhere because you fall off the edge of the earth. Nobody find you, but I have to tell you about one time, it's time before last, I was down there. And so lights were out, and I was in bed, and I was sleeping, and it never fails. You get to 3 o'clock in the morning, what do you gotta do? You gotta go to that bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, right? And I had my light and I got there because it was pretty dark. And then I got back to my room. I thought, oh, I'm gonna go to bed here. And so I put the thing on the shelf over there, and I was laying in bed. And all of a sudden, my baby started doing this, and then everything started shaking and moving. I was like, "Oh my God, something's happening out there," and it was really going on. And I said, "You get really stupid thoughts when you're laying in a dark room." I go, "Oh my God, there are hundreds of 1,000-pound tapirs running through the camp. And I like, should I go up and say, nah, I'm gonna let that happen. But then for some reason I thought, oh my goodness, because we were in Napo camp. And so we put all of the people that I had taken down. It was just after Mike's trip. And then I took, just regular people in with me. And it was Brother Sam and those guys. Yeah, yeah. And so you have to walk way across this bridge and way up there for the room. So they looked at me and said, "Dee, you're gonna sleep over here. There's a bunch of rooms over there, but I'm the only one over there." So when I went to the bathroom, I'm over here by myself. So I don't have anybody come out and say, "Oh no, that's not happening." He left it to me to think about it. And so I thought to myself, I said, "Oh my God, there's tribes out there that we never knew were out there, and they killing everybody in the village." And I said, "I better go warn my people." No, I can do that in the morning. I did. I stayed in the bed. I'm like, somebody got to be here to tell the story of what happened because they were all on that side, and they didn't know I was on that side by myself. They ain't coming back. So I get up in the morning and go, "Did you feel that earthquake?" I said, "Oh, that's what that was." So it get really dark out there. And the only reason we didn't get crushed because the epicenter was only 200 miles away. I mean, those trees must have been shaking, but it was way deep in the earth. So as it traveled, it only made us tremble like that. But if it had been any stronger, because I think it was a 7, but if it had got stronger and was higher in the earth when it was doing, it would have tumbled all those huge trees right on that end. I think we would have been crushed, so it didn't happen. All righty. Steph,
The students that you take out, how do they react to not having like access to a lot of, their devices, things? Do you see the effect of being out in nature? Because we talk about a lot about that here at
oh, with the kids
yeah,
that go down there,
for adults too.
Mike and them will back me up on this. You start them off slow because they're down there where they can use them, right? And then we tell them that ain't gonna work for you. And so, and it's good that we go to Doppel sometimes first because they got Wi-Fi out there, but it's real bad. You would beat the Wi-Fi message back before it got to your parents and stuff like that. So and then they start reacting like, oh, things are not working, and then they realize what we're talking about, and they just get right into the nature, don't they? Nicole and them will tell you that they respond very well because they have to depend on each other. They love that, what someone else doesn't know, the other one might. And if neither one of you know, you learn together. But they form really neat bonds with that stuff. I mean, I have the cell phone because sure enough, there's always one that's gonna try to test it. And you'll see everybody else over there and they're still trying to get that thing to work. And it doesn't work. So um, that's what I see with that. And if you know, I used to do this to my children. We drive somewhere and my middle daughter was like, so I drive through the no zones, get home, like I be down in Stillwater, I take all the back roads. And next thing you know, she's out and out, trying to get that sucker to work. And then you hear a brother go, Dad did that on purpose. I'm like, you need to talk and interact with us. So, if you could get them where they couldn't use that, and they had to depend on, where's Miss Bush at? Jane was one of my LEs when I was here. And we had to, in fact, go out and do an overnight. And I only told Jane, I think I told Jane I had more than one match. But I explained to the group, you got one match. If you let that fire go out, you're not gonna eat the next day or two, or how many other meals we had. Those guys were so good. They kept that fire going. Even when the coals got down, they knew how to blow on them and get the fire started. They ate all their meals because they thought I only had one match. But you can do things like that. Thank you guys for coming and being a part. I really enjoy. I am going to stick around. So if you have more questions, it's just the formal part.
We all think DC.
And I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause. To sit through me is a chore. Thank you.
Well,
guys.
thank you for all the stories. And we wanted to give you just a little something from Ewalu. You can exchange this if you want in the store DC. But we thought this might be an appropriate color because I know you've got a
Is the
word.
green still on the thing? Because I won't get it. So that's a Khalid sweatshirt. I know I won't get it.
But take a look in the store. Our store is going to be open for a while yet if anyone else wants to stop in. But we just really enjoyed having you here.
Oh,
For sharing your experiences, and we're so thrilled that Ewalu has been a part of your story.
it's a big.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
And I did bring something for people here that I wish I had a ton of them. So I'm gonna let you figure out a drawing system.
Okay,
I'll just bring on.
how many do you have, DC?
I don't know.
Well, we'll think of something. I do want to, while DC's doing that, I do want Ellie Lobon to come on up. She's got a little something. She wants to just give you a little update on camp. So, Ellie, if you stand right here, you can even address the people still on the Zoom. So Ellie's going to talk for a minute.
Staff will figure out how to do it, okay?
All right.
Alright. Hopefully, even if you're new to Ewalu, you've been able to feel the community that's here. And DC was kind of a starter of that community, right, Paul? So that community. And it grows and grows. And we have more famous alumni besides this one. Lot.
That's good.
So we don't want to stop producing those. And we did lose one of our community several months ago. So those of you that knew Ed Bishop, there will be a memorial service for him on next Saturday morning here at 11 o'clock with lunch following. So many people are being, tied to Ewalu and now want to end their life here too with a celebration of life. So you are all welcome to attend that next Saturday morning for Ed Bishop, who did tons of mowing around here. That was his MO. He wanted to mow. And then most of you know that we have a capital campaign going on because we want to keep these alumni coming. And our big Cedar Lodge, which was here when you were here, but was a lot newer, is now 61 years old. It needs plumbing and it needs air conditioning and it needs mold removal and it needs a lot, including a new kitchen. So we have a $2 million campaign going on. There's some information on the back of your program. We can give you a bigger brochure. We'd love to come and visit you. My husband, Harry, stand up, and Mark are the co-chairs here. So please embrace us. And drum roll right now, staff, please. That's good. She's a percussionist. Our total at the moment toward our $2 million campaign is $798,143.94. Watch for the donor appreciation dinner June 4th. We hope you will all come and enjoy that evening. And that's enough because you have something else to say, don't you?
Sure.
Well, the next Enrichment Day. Yeah, we're going to say anything about that or not?
Well, it'll be in October.
Yes.
October is going to be a busy month for us because we are doing a trail run. You'll hear more about that in early October. And then Jeff Boki from Decorah from Luther College will be our next enrichment speaker, October 20th. So we take a little break during summer camp because it gets pretty busy around here.
Yeah.
He will talk about experiential learning. So he has done, Mark, you probably know a little bit more about that than I do, but yeah, I think that's probably enough to share at this point, but he is a professor up at Luther College. He specializes in that, so.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's someone you know, I think, right? So.
Well, you stay here, Ellie, and you stay here, and Frank, come up here.
And while he's coming up, one last plug for Trey.
Go right to it.
Great Give Day coming up May 17th, I believe. And we're planning some kind of fun things for that. So get on Facebook, get on social media, whatever. And last year, without trying very hard, we raised $8,000. We need about 100,000 this year. So Great Give Day.
I just want to present you guys with an Amazon paddle of the trip
Wow.
to have here. It shows you how we go up and down the
Is there a
river.
little map on
And
there?
that's my river map. So you can
And you're not
display.
gonna need that? Gonna need that.
Out. Maybe if the water get a little hot, the shifts. I have to no. This is really great. There's a casual Raining's paddle. This is kind of like a little kid. And the design of it is because that paddle is multi-use. So when they're out on the river, they have these little dugout canoes.
Mhm.
Like I love the school kids. They go to school and they have to canoe to school. They take the point of it and jam it in the mud and tie their canoe up. So at the end of the day, they can get
Still there, yeah.
So that's why the point is there for things like that. It's also, of course, many paddles are flat, but with the point and the blade, you're out in the middle of the woods and you just have to go number two. It does those kinds of, and the other part about the blade is because you canoe ride so long, what sometimes you get attacked by some of the things that's getting whacked. It's a whacking,
Nice.
it's a whacking things.
I'll take her for there. Saying, yeah, she's good, right?
So we've gotta hand out some t-shirts.
We should ask if people got certain things like pair of eyeglasses. Yeah, I don't know. But I have 3 T-shirts, and it's from we used to make. Oh, look what it's got on the back.
The map.
It's got the map. So these were extra ones that I had. And I thought I'd bring.
Look at that. Well, we got size, we got adult small, maybe we.
Yes, well, this is the adult large.
This is a medium, so if you're interested.
So we got one of each.
So, yeah.
So you don't have to be the same size, you know. If you say like me, 200 pounds, you wear it as a turban on your head.
So,
Can't get it over your body.
I know, not that everyone here may or may not have Lutheran, but I know Midwestern Lutherans and none of them are gonna raise their hand if they say they want it. So maybe what we could do is turn it up. And they won't disappear as people go and grab them.
Yes.
Oh, she wants one.
Well,
Where do you go? Which way? Large.
Okay.
Okay, I misjudged. Maybe 2 other people are gonna shoot like one right there, okay.
Medium, all right, good. The small.
There you go.
All right. I'll bring this over, I'll bring it over. But, got a small. All right, we can hold on to that in
We
the
can
back.
put it in the back.
Nice turban.
I know, one thing I would like is I know we've got a lot of camp alumni some who worked at DC here. If we could get a picture of you all together, maybe get a group picture.
Oh,
If we forget to do it, let's do that. And again, thanks for all of our online people for joining us. This is really fun to try this out, so.
yeah. This is fun. Yeah, thank you. So you